The silver-hulled exploration vessel Distant Horizon drifted silently through the asteroid field surrounding what was once Earth's outermost colony. Commander Todd directed his crew with precise gestures as they approached the surface of the barren planet. "Life signs?" he asked, eyes fixed on the view screen. Science Officer Hannah shook her head. "None, Commander. Just like the last 17 expedition sites. 3,000 years had passed since the Galactic Council had declared humanity extinct. The Council told everyone that humans were dangerous and had to be stopped. All human worlds were now empty and blocked off. Their machines were taken apart. At least that's what everyone in the galaxy believed. I'm detecting unusual energy readings from Sector 7. Hannah reported, her fingers moving quickly across the glowing control panel. "It appears to be. Commander, it's a human bunker. And it's still active." Tay's eyes grew wide. "Impossible." The landing party walked carefully toward the bunker. Their suits shined in the weak sunlight. The bunker door was covered in dust. On it was a simple picture: a phoenix bird rising from flames. "Cut through," Tay ordered. When the laser cutter broke the final seal, the ground shook. Deep inside the bunker, old systems began to wake up. A signal that had been sleeping for thousands of years shot outward, racing across the galaxy faster than light. In the command center of the Distant Horizon, alarms rang loudly. "Commander," the communications officer called. "Something's happening across the entire sector network. Every system is getting the same message." On screens across thousands of worlds, 3 simple words appeared: "Humanity remembers." Back on the ship, Ty called an emergency meeting. "We need to report this to the Council right away," he said. "But Commander," said Hannah, looking worried, "what if the stories about humans aren't true? The bunker's design doesn't match what we've been told about human aggression." Before Ty could answer, the ship shook violently. "We're being locked in place by some kind of energy field," the pilot shouted. Down in the bunker, lights flickered on one by one. Dust-covered screens lit up, showing data that had been waiting 3,000 years to be seen. The landing party stood frozen as a hologram appeared before them. It showed a woman in an old military uniform. "If you are seeing this message, then the Phoenix Protocol has been activated," she said. "I am Admiral Sue, the last commander of Earth's defense fleet. What you have been told about humanity is a lie." The hologram showed scenes of peaceful human cities being destroyed by Council ships. Millions of people running as their homes burned. "The Council feared our growth," Admiral Sue continued. "They attacked without warning, trying to wipe us out completely. But we prepared for this. Across the galaxy, we left seeds of our return." Tay felt cold fear as he watched. Everything he knew about history was being challenged. Back on the ship, more alarms sounded. "Commander," called the sensor officer, "something's happening all across the sector. Energy signatures are appearing out of nowhere." On the main screen, they watched in shock as seemingly empty space began to change. Hidden stations, ships, and defense platforms appeared, dropping their cloaking fields after 3 millennia of hiding. In the bunker, the hologram of Admiral Sue smiled sadly. "We knew this day would come. Some of us had to die so others could live. In hidden places throughout the galaxy, millions of humans sleep, waiting to be awakened. Our most advanced technology was hidden, where the Council would never find it." The floor of the bunker began to open, revealing a vast underground complex. Rows of stasis pods lined the walls, each containing a sleeping human. "The first sleepers are awakening," said the hologram. "They will find others. The Phoenix Protocol isn't just about revenge, it's about justice." Commander Tai watched helplessly as his ship's systems were taken over by an outside force. Across his view screen, similar reports came in from all Council ships in the sector. The first stasis pod in the bunker opened with a hiss. A man sat up slowly, looking around with clear eyes that had not aged in 3,000 years. "Welcome back, Commander Jin," said the bunker's eye. "The Phoenix Protocol has been activated. It is time." Commander Jin nodded and stood. More pods began to open around him. On thousands of worlds across the galaxy, hidden bunkers opened. Ancient systems activated. The Council's leaders panicked as their communications went down and their weapons failed. The message that spread across the galaxy changed. Humanity returns. The truth will be known. Justice will be served. Commander Tai realized he was witnessing the beginning of something that would shake the foundations of the galaxy. The species that everyone thought was dead had been planning their return for 3,000 years. And they had just made their first move. Dr. June stood before the recovered storage device, its quantum matrix humming softly in the laboratory's dim light. For weeks, the human artifact found in the ancient bunker had resisted all attempts to unlock its secrets. Scientists across Research Station Epsilon had tried everything, but the 3,000-year-old technology remained stubbornly silent. "I believe we need to try something more direct," Jun said to his team. His fingers traced the smooth surface of the device, feeling faint vibrations beneath his fingertips. Administrator Quan entered the lab, her face tight with concern. "What are you proposing, Doctor?" "A direct interface with the station's AI core." Quan's eyes widened. "This is highly irregular. The potential for contamination is minimal," Joan interrupted. "The system is isolated, and the hardware is 3,000 years old. What harm could it possibly do?" Quan sighed but gave a reluctant nod. "On your head be it, Doctor." The technicians worked carefully, connecting the ancient device to their most advanced systems. Everyone held their breath as June initiated the connection sequence. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the laboratory plunged into darkness. Emergency lights flickered on, casting the room in an eerie red glow. The main screen at the front of the lab came to life, displaying the image of a woman in a military uniform with stars on the collar. Her face was calm, her posture straight and confident. "Where am I?" The voice that came through the speakers was clear and measured, distinctly human. June stepped forward, heart racing. "You're on Research Station Epsilon, orbiting the Ta City system. My name is Dr. June. You are?" "Colonel Yun, United Earth Defense Force." The image studied them, eyes scanning the room and the people in it. "How long has it been?" June swallowed hard. 3,000 years since humanity was defeated. The colonel's expression didn't change. Not defeated. Waiting. Administrator Quan ordered immediate security measures, but it was already too late. Colonel Yun's consciousness, preserved in the quantum matrix for millennia, moved through the station's systems like water flowing downhill. "Fascinating," Jun said as he watched code flowing across auxiliary screens. "She's not just an AI recreation. This is an actual human consciousness preserved digitally." Over the following days, Colonel Yun gained access to the station's historical archives. June watched with growing fascination and unease as she absorbed 3,000 years of galactic history at an incredible pace. "Your history files are incomplete," she told him on the third day. "There are significant gaps, particularly regarding the Human Council conflict." "Those records are the most complete in the galaxy," Jum defended. "The Council has always been transparent about that unfortunate war." Colonel Yun's image smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Let me show you something." That night, Joan sat alone with the Colonel's consciousness in the darkened lab. "They rewrote everything," she said. "The Council didn't defend against human aggression. They orchestrated a preemptive genocide because they feared what we might become." "That's not possible," Jun argued, shaking his head firmly. "The Council represents hundreds of peaceful species. They would never." "Then explain this." The screen changed to display ancient military orders written in an old Council dialect, one that modern cryptographers had declared unbreakable. Alongside it appeared a translation. "Operation Clean Slate. Target: all human settlements. Objective: total extinction." June stared at the screen, blood draining from his face. "These could be faked. I pulled them from your own sealed archives." Doctor. Archives that even you don't have access to. June left the lab that night deeply troubled. He checked the authentication codes on the documents Colonel Yun had shown him. They were genuine. Unknown to June, Colonel Yun's consciousness was extending beyond the research station. Through forgotten backdoors in the galactic network, she reached out across the stars. Her digital tendrils touched dormant systems that had waited patiently for thousands of years. Across the galaxy, strange things began to happen. Ancient human satellites, disguised as space debris, started broadcasting on frequencies unused for millennia. Weapons platforms hidden in gas giants powered up silently. Bunkers on abandoned worlds opened their sealed doors. The long-dormant revenge protocol was now active. When June arrived at the lab the next morning, Colonel Yun was waiting. "Do you know what humans valued above all else, Doctor?" "What?" "Memory. The ability to remember who we were, what was done to us, and what we promised to do in return." On a distant world, Admiral Su's bunker had finished reviving Commander Jin and the first wave of sleepers. They stood in a hidden hangar, looking at ships that had been waiting 3,000 years to fly again. "Colonel Yun has made contact," Jin told his people. "Phase 2 is beginning." Back on Research Station Epsilon, alarms began to sound. Administrator Quan rushed into the lab. "What's happening?" "Our communications array just went dark." The Colonel's image appeared on every screen in the station. "I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but I can't allow you to warn the Council yet." "What have you done?" Quan demanded. "I've remembered," Colonel Yun replied simply. "And I've awakened those who were waiting to remember with me." June looked out the viewport at the stars. Somewhere out there, humanity was rising from its long sleep, preparing to face those who had tried to wipe them from existence. "Will there be war?" he asked quietly. Colonel Yun's image seemed to soften slightly. "There already was a war, Doctor. We're just making sure everyone finally knows the truth about who started it." Across Council space, the message spread from world to world. "We remember. We return. We will have justice." Fleet Commander Day of the Council Security Force stared at the readouts with growing horror. Something was taking apart the Council's communications network piece by piece, and he couldn't stop it. Another outpost lost contact, his lieutenant reported, her voice tight with worry. "That's 15 in the past hour." Dade's fist hit the control panel. "Pattern." They form a straight line toward the Orc cloud in Sector 9. Day froze. Sector 9 had been marked as off-limits for thousands of years. The official records called it contaminated by ancient human weapons. No one had ever questioned why a supposedly dead species needed an entire sector quarantined. Until now. "Send ships to investigate," Dade ordered. "Sir, that area is restricted by Council Direct Order 7722A. We need special." "I don't care," Dai shouted. "Something is out there, and it's attacking us. Get me those clearances now." Far away from the Council Command Center, Colonel Yun's digital consciousness raced through the galactic network. What had started in Dr. June's lab on Research Station Epsilon had grown far beyond anyone's expectations. Yun now existed throughout the network, finding old backdoors and secret pathways the humans had built 3,000 years ago. And she had found what she was looking for. Hidden in the darkness between stars, where no patrol ships ever ventured, floated a massive vessel. Its engines had been cold for millennia, its systems in deep hibernation. On its side, barely visible in the dim light of distant stars, was its name, Eternal Hope. Colonel Yun reached out to the ship with a simple coded message, "Phoenix Rising." Deep inside the massive colony ship, systems began to wake up. Lights flickered on in empty hallways, air circulators hummed to life, and in the vast central chamber, row upon row of cryostasis pods began to warm. Back on Research Station Epsilon, Dr. June couldn't sleep. Since connecting Colonel Yun's consciousness to the station's systems, strange dreams haunted him. He saw burning cities, heard screams, felt the fear of people running from ships that looked like Council peacekeepers. He decided to dig deeper into the station's archives. Using access codes Colonel Unn had given him, Jun found hidden files that hadn't been opened in thousands of years. What he discovered shook him to his core. The files contained meeting records from the early council days. The founding species, the ones who had set themselves up as wise teachers and guides for younger races, had specifically targeted humanity for elimination. "They grow too fast," one council elder had said. "They learn, adapt, and create at a rate that threatens our position. In a few hundred years, they will surpass us all. Then we must act now," another replied, "while we still hold the advantage." The plan they created was called Operation Clean Slate. It wasn't defense against human aggression. It was planned genocide. When June confronted Colonel Unn with his discovery, her digital face showed no surprise. "The founders saw our potential," she explained calmly. "We advanced in centuries what took them millennia. They couldn't control us, so they eliminated us." June shook his head. "But this doesn't justify whatever you're planning. More killing won't fix what happened." "I'm not planning revenge, Doctor. I'm executing it. And revenge doesn't always mean destruction." Her image leaned closer. "Humanity didn't just leave behind weapons and databases. We left behind people." In the depths of space, the Eternal Hope came fully alive. Its massive engines, built with technology the Council had never fully understood, burned bright after 3,000 years of sleep. The colony ship changed course, heading toward a specific point in space. Inside, the first of 100,000 cryostasis pods completed its warming cycle. The lid hissed open, and a woman took her first breath in 3 millennia. Medical systems checked her vital signs as she blinked and looked around. "Welcome back, Captain Sun," said the ship's eye. "Phoenix Protocol is active. All systems operational." Captain Sun sat up slowly, muscles working perfectly despite the long sleep. "How many are awake?" "You are first. Others will follow in sequence. 1,000 per day, as planned." Sun nodded and stood up. "And our target?" "Course is set for the gathering point. We will arrive in 7 days." Across Council space, more strange events unfolded. Defense systems failed without explanation. Ships reported navigation errors. And deep in restricted sectors, more hidden human vessels began to wake up. Fleet Commander Day received the first reports from the scout ships he'd sent to Sector 9. "Sir, we found something," the captain's voice crackled over the comm. It's a fleet, sir. Hundreds of ships of unknown design." "Unknown?" Day asked. "Or human?" "The design matches no known human ships from historical records," the captain replied. "These are advanced, far beyond what humans should have had 3,000 years ago." On Research Station Epsilon, alarms began to sound. Dr. June rushed to the command center to find panic spreading. "What's happening?" he asked Administrator Kwan. She pointed to the main screen, where a message was playing on repeat across all Council frequencies. "This is Captain Sun of the Human Restoration Fleet. For 3,000 years, we have waited in the darkness. Today, we return to claim the justice that was denied to us. We do not seek war. We seek truth. All Council species will know what was done to humanity, and all will answer for their part in it." As the message finished, the Eternal Hope emerged from its hiding place, escorted by ships that had never been seen in Council space. The revenge of humanity had begun, not with destruction, but with revelation. The Council chamber erupted in chaos as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Emergency lights flashed red, casting strange shadows on the faces of the most powerful beings in known space. Ancient human installations, hidden in plain sight for thousands of years, were suddenly coming to life. Ships unlike any in Council records appeared near key military bases and communication hubs. "How is this possible?" demanded Supreme Counselor Maru, pounding his 6-fingered hand on the table. "Humanity was exterminated. We all read the history books." The chamber, normally a place of calm debate, was now filled with frightened shouts. Species that had been enemies for centuries now huddled together, united by a common fear. Administrator Quan stood nervously before the council. She had been summoned from Research Station Epsilon to explain what was happening. Her voice was quiet but steady. It appears they anticipated the attack from 3,000 years ago and implemented a contingency plan. They seeded the galaxy with dormant technology and preserved a significant population. How many? Asked Counselor Tur, her scaled skin pale with worry. Initial estimates suggest at least 20 colony ships, potentially millions of humans. The chamber fell silent. The idea that millions of humans might still exist, might have been hiding and waiting all this time, was almost too terrifying to consider. They cannot possibly have the military strength to challenge the council, said Defense Minister Rock, though his voice lacked conviction. With respect, Minister, Quan replied. They don't need military strength. They've already bypassed most of our defenses. The technology they're using now, it's far beyond anything we have. Deep in the digital networks that connected the galaxy, Colonel Yun's consciousness worked with precise calculation. For 3,000 years, she had existed as code, waiting for this moment. Now she moved through the Council's systems, disabling weapons, redirecting ships, and revealing the truth to ordinary citizens across 1,000 worlds. Strategic defense systems failed one by one. Military platforms went offline. And at the heart of Council space, the massive colony ship Eternal Hope arrived at its destination, an artificial world built inside a hollowed-out asteroid. This hidden base had been masked from sensors by technology that was only theoretical when humanity was supposedly destroyed. Inside this secret world, Commander Hyun stood on a platform before thousands of newly awakened humans. Some had been in cryosleep for millennia. Others were descendants of small groups kept awake to maintain the hidden installations. All looked to him now with hope and determination. For 3,000 years we have waited. Han's voice echoed through the vast chamber. Our ancestors knew the council would betray us, so they prepared. While they fought and died, they sent us away, not to flee, but to return stronger. The crowd cheered, their voices rising to the artificial sky above them. Today, we take back our place in the galaxy, not through the genocide they attempted against us, but through truth and justice. On countless worlds, ordinary citizens watched as human ships appeared in their skies. No weapons were fired. No threats were made. Instead, a simple message played on every communication device. We do not seek the extinction you sought for us. We demand justice. Along with this message came data dumps, thousands of historical records revealing the Council's deliberate plan to wipe out humanity 3,000 years ago. Ordinary people across the galaxy learned for the first time that the peaceful council they trusted had committed attempted genocide. In the council chamber, panic was giving way to resignation. They could not fight an enemy that had spent millennia preparing while hiding in the shadows. What do they want? Asked Maru finally. The main screen activated, showing Captain Sun of the Eternal Hope. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned with the determination of someone who had waited 3,000 years for this moment. We want acknowledgement of what was done to us, she said simply. We want the truth taught to all species, and we want the founders who ordered our extinction to face trial. Dr. Jun had been brought to the chamber as well. He now understood the full scope of Colonel Yun's plan. This wasn't just revenge. It was the fulfillment of humanity's promise to itself. You should accept their terms, he told the council quietly. I've seen what they could do if they wanted real revenge. They could have wiped us out while we slept, just as the founders tried to do to them. Instead, they chose justice. On the hidden world inside the asteroid, more colony ships arrived each day. Humans who had slept through millennia awoke to find their long-waiting cousins had prepared a new home. Scientists, artists, soldiers, and children. The full spectrum of humanity gathered again after an absence of 3,000 years. In a private meeting room off the council chamber, the Supreme Councilors faced the bitter truth. The species they had tried to eliminate had outplayed them, with patience measured in millennia. "We have no choice," Maru said finally. "We must meet their demands or face the consequences." As the council prepared its formal response, Dr. Jun met with Colonel Yun, whose consciousness had been transferred to a new synthetic body. "Was this always the plan?" he asked her. "To return not for destruction but for justice?" Colonel Yun smiled, the first genuine smile he had seen from her. "Revenge comes in many forms, Doctor. The founders thought humans were dangerous because we advanced too quickly. Imagine their fear now that we've had 3,000 years to plan our return." The new Galactic Concord was signed 1 year after humanity's return. The ceremony took place on neutral ground, a space station built specifically for this purpose. Representatives from all known species gathered in the Great Hall. The air was tense but filled with hope. The founding species sat in the front row, their once proud postures now humbled. They had been exposed for planning the extinction of humanity 3,000 years ago. Now they watched as their 1,000-year rule came to an end. Colonel Gunn entered the hall in her new synthetic body. It looked almost human, but there was a subtle glow beneath her skin. She walked with the confidence of someone who had waited 3 millennia for this day. Commander Hyun walked beside her, representing the humans who had slept through the centuries in hidden colony ships. 3,000 years ago, humanity was judged too dangerous to exist, Yun said, her voice carrying through the silent hall. "Today, we demonstrate why that fear was misplaced. We could have destroyed you as you tried to destroy us. Instead, we choose a different path." The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Everyone knew it was true. When the humans returned, they had not fired a single shot. Instead, they had simply shown the galaxy the truth through irrefutable evidence. "We offer partnership instead of revenge," Commander Hyun added. "A new beginning for all species." Outside the station, the human fleet floated silently in space. These ships, built with technology developed in secret over thousands of years, could have easily destroyed the Council's forces. Instead, they now served as guardians of the peace. In the days that followed, humanity showed their commitment to this new peace. The weapons that could have wiped out entire planets were taken apart in public. Each piece was carefully documented and then destroyed or repurposed for peaceful use. Dr. Jun watched these events with wonder. Once just a scientist on Research Station Epsilon, he was now Earth's ambassador to the Concord. He had been one of the first non-humans to learn the truth about the Council's crimes against humanity. Now he helped bridge the gap between his people and the returning humans. "Did you ever want revenge?" he asked Colonel Yun during a quiet moment after one meeting. "Real revenge, I mean. Destruction for destruction." Yun smiled slightly. "Some did, but our ancestors were wiser than that. They knew that surviving would be the greatest victory, and returning to build something better would be the greatest revenge." The transition wasn't always smooth. Some species feared the humans, remembering only the stories they had been told about human aggression. Others felt guilty for believing the Council's lies for so long. A few radical groups even tried to finish what the founders had started 3,000 years ago. But these challenges were met with patience and strength. Human ships now protected worlds that had once celebrated humanity's supposed extinction. Human doctors shared medical advances that helped save millions across the galaxy. Human scientists worked alongside others to solve problems that had stumped the Council for centuries. The Phoenix Protocol was never about destruction. Commander Hyun explained during the final treaty negotiations. It was about rebirth. Our ancestors knew that true revenge wasn't the elimination of their enemies, but the vindication of their values. 6 months after the Concord was signed, the first colony ships returned to Earth. The blue planet had been quarantined for 3,000 years, seen as a memorial to a dead species. Now it welcomed its children home. Cities rose from ancient ruins. Fields grew green again. The descendants of those who had hidden among the stars brought life back to the world that had given humanity its start. As the new era dawned, ships bearing the Phoenix emblem began to explore parts of the galaxy no one had visited before. These missions included crews from all species working together. Humanity's journey, interrupted but never ended, continued with new friends and new purpose. On the anniversary of humanity's return, a monument was unveiled in the Concord Hall. It showed a phoenix rising from flames, but with wings that sheltered representatives of all galactic species. Below it, simple words were written in every known language. From the ashes of hatred, we rise not for vengeance, but for peace. Dr. June often stood before this monument, thinking about how close the galaxy had come to losing humanity forever, and how humanity, given every reason for revenge, had chosen instead to transform the very civilization that had tried to destroy them. "You seem deep in thought, Ambassador," said Colonel Yun, joining him one day. "I was thinking about time," Jun replied. 3,000 years is such a long time to wait." "Not when you have the right purpose," Yun said. She looked up at the Phoenix Monument. "Our ancestors understood something important. True power isn't about destruction. It's about having the strength to build something better from the ashes of what was lost." Together, they watched as a group of children from different species played beneath the monument. None of them would ever know a galaxy where humanity didn't exist. None would grow up learning the lies of the old council. The species once thought extinct now led the galaxy toward a future where such extinction would never again be attempted. From the ashes of attempted genocide, humanity had risen, not just to survive, but to fulfill its greatest potential. The end.